Let me tell you something. Life will teach you the toughest lessons when you least expect it. And one of those lessons is knowing when to let go, when to step back, and allow the silence to do what words never could. The no contact rule isn't just a strategy, it's a declaration. It says, I'm choosing me. I'm choosing my peace. I'm choosing my future. The human mind, when clouded with emotional chaos, is like a storm-tossed sea. Thoughts become erratic, emotions run high, and clarity feels like a distant dream. When relationships or connections become a source of constant stress or confusion, it's as if your mental space is consumed by relentless noise. Every action, every word, and every moment seems to revolve around the presence of another person, leaving little room for self-reflection or peace. This is where the no contact rule becomes transformative. It's not merely a tool to distance yourself from someone else, it's a way to reclaim your mental freedom and regain the clarity that's been missing. At first, the silence can feel unnerving. You might find yourself reaching for your phone out of habit, scrolling through old messages, or waiting for a notification that never comes. This initial discomfort is natural because your mind is adjusting to the absence of a dynamic it's grown used to. It's in this very discomfort, however, that the first seeds of clarity are planted. By stepping back and eliminating contact, you create a space where your thoughts are no longer dictated by someone else's actions or emotions. This space, though initially unfamiliar, is where clarity begins to grow. As the days pass, you start to notice subtle changes in your mental state. The constant overthinking that once consumed your energy begins to subside. Those endless questions, why did they say that? Or what should I have done differently? Start to fade into the background. In their place, a quieter, more introspective voice emerges. It's the voice of your own mind, unburdened by the weight of someone else's influence. This shift may feel small at first, but it's profound. For the first time in what may feel like forever, you begin to hear your own thoughts clearly, without interference or external noise. Clarity of mind isn't just about silencing the chaos, it's about rediscovering your ability to focus on what truly matters. When you're no longer consumed by the emotional ups and downs of a strained connection, you have the bandwidth to think deeply about your goals, your values, and your purpose. You start asking questions that have nothing to do with someone else's feelings or actions. Questions like, what do I want for myself and what truly makes me happy? These are questions that often get buried when your mind is preoccupied with the complexities of a difficult relationship. The no contact rule creates the mental stillness needed to bring these questions to the surface. As this clarity grows, something remarkable happens. You begin to notice patterns. You see the relationship or situation for what it truly was, not through the lens of heightened emotions or wishful thinking. Maybe you recognize behaviors that you once ignored or justified. Maybe you see how much energy you were pouring into a connection that wasn't reciprocated. This newfound perspective is like turning on a light in a dark room. It allows you to assess the situation objectively, free from the emotional fog that once clouded your judgment. With clarity comes a sense of control. When your mind is no longer consumed by someone else's actions or decisions, you realize that you have the power to direct your own thoughts and emotions. This control is liberating. It means you're no longer reacting to someone else, you're proactively shaping your own mental landscape. You're choosing what to focus on, what to let go of, and what to pursue. This sense of agency is one of the most empowering aspects of the no contact rule. It's a reminder that your mind is yours to govern, not something to be dictated by the presence or absence of another person. Over time, this clarity starts to extend beyond your thoughts and into your daily life. You may find that you have more energy to dedicate to your passions or interests. You might notice that your conversations with others feel more meaningful because you're fully present rather than distracted by an emotional undercurrent. Even mundane tasks can take on a new sense of ease when your mind isn't weighed down by constant rumination. This mental lightness is a reflection of the clarity you've cultivated. It's the result of creating space for yourself and prioritizing your well-being. It's important to understand that clarity of mind doesn't mean you forget or erase what happened. Instead, it means you've created the distance needed to view the situation with a level head. You're able to reflect without getting lost in the emotions that once consumed you. This balance between reflection and clarity is what allows you to learn from the experience without being defined by it. It's what enables you to grow, to heal, and to move forward with a renewed sense of purpose. The journey to mental clarity through the no contact rule is not linear. There will be moments of doubt, moments when the old patterns try to creep back in. But each time you resist the urge to reach out or re-engage, you strengthen your ability to maintain that clarity. It's a process of unlearning dependency and relearning self-reliance. It's about trusting that the space you've created is not empty, it's fertile ground for your growth and peace. Clarity of mind is a gift you give to yourself. It's the foundation upon which you can build a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. It's a reminder that your peace is worth protecting and that your thoughts deserve to be your own. Through the no contact rule, you're not just stepping away from someone else, you're stepping back into yourself. And in that space, you find the clarity you've been seeking all along. There's something profound that happens when you remove yourself from a situation where your presence was either undervalued or taken for granted. When you take a step back, something shifts not only in you, but also in the way others perceive you. At first, the decision to go no contact may feel like a form of surrender, a painful detachment from someone or something you held close. But in reality, it's a bold statement, an act of reclaiming your own value, even if the other person doesn't recognize it immediately. In life, people often fail to appreciate what is constant and accessible. It's human nature to overlook what feels readily available, assuming it will always remain within reach. When you're always there answering every call, responding to every text, making every effort, it creates an illusion of permanence. Others begin to believe that your presence is guaranteed, that you'll always be around no matter how you're treated. Over time, this can lead to neglect, indifference, or even disrespect. But the moment you decide to walk away and go silent, the dynamic changes completely. The silence speaks louder than any words could. It forces others to confront the void left behind by your absence. Suddenly, they begin to notice the little things they took for granted, the kindness, the support, the love you so freely gave. They realize that what they thought was ordinary was, in fact, extraordinary. This recognition doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual, creeping in as they experience life without the comfort of your presence. And in this space, they begin to understand the depth of what they've lost. As much as this process impacts the other person, it impacts you even more deeply. When you remove yourself from a situation where your worth wasn't fully acknowledged, you create the space to recognize it for yourself. You start to see the patterns, the imbalances, and the ways in which you were giving far more than you were receiving. This realization can be painful at first. It's never easy to confront the truth about how much you've allowed yourself to be overlooked or undervalued. But this awareness is also the foundation of your transformation. In the quiet of no contact, you begin to reconnect with yourself. You remember the things that make you unique, the qualities that make you valuable, not because someone else says so, but because they simply are. You start to see how much you bring to the table, how much you've invested in others, and how deserving you are of that same level of care and investment in return. This isn't about arrogance or entitlement. It's about understanding your inherent worth as a person and refusing to settle for anything less than mutual respect and appreciation. The no contact rule becomes a mirror, reflecting back to you everything you may have forgotten about yourself. It reminds you of your strength, your resilience, and your ability to thrive even in the absence of validation from others. It shows you that your value doesn't diminish because someone else failed to see it. Their inability to recognize your worth says more about them than it ever could about you. And the more you internalize this truth, the more you begin to carry yourself differently. Your absence has a powerful effect on others because it disrupts the status quo. When someone no longer has access to your time, energy, or presence, they're forced to evaluate what you meant to them. In this evaluation, they may come to see just how much they relied on you, even if they never admitted it before. They may realize that the things you did for them, the encouragement, the sacrifices, the unwavering support, were not things they could easily replace. This recognition can be a wake-up call, a moment of clarity where they see you in a new light. For some, this realization leads to regret. They may reach out, trying to reestablish contact or make amends. For others, it may take longer, or they may never fully acknowledge what they've lost. But their response is secondary to the transformation happening within you. The true power of this process lies in how you begin to value yourself in a way you never did before. You stop seeking validation from external sources and start recognizing that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's opinion or behavior. This shift is liberating. You no longer feel the need to chase after people who don't appreciate you. You stop trying to prove your value to those who are blind to it. Instead, you invest your energy into yourself, your growth, your happiness, your peace. And as you do, something remarkable happens. You begin to attract people and opportunities that align with your newfound sense of self-worth. The relationships you build from this place are rooted in mutual respect and genuine connection because you're no longer willing to accept anything less. The no contact rule isn't just about creating distance from others, it's about drawing closer to yourself. It's about recognizing that your worth has always been there, even when others fail to see it. It's about standing firm in the knowledge that you deserve to be valued, not for what you can give or do, but simply for who you are. This recognition isn't just empowering, it's life-changing. It sets the foundation for a future where you no longer settle for less than you deserve, and where you walk through life with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth. When the noise of constant communication fades and the distractions of external validation quiet down, you are left with something rare in today's fast-paced world: time with yourself. No contact is not just an act of stepping away from someone else, it's an opportunity to step back into yourself. For perhaps the first time in a long while, you are given the gift of silence, a space where the focus shifts from the outside world to your inner one. It is in this space that you begin the profound process of rediscovery. At first, this newfound quiet can feel unsettling. It's not easy to confront your thoughts, your emotions, or the parts of yourself that may have been neglected in the whirlwind of a relationship or an attachment. For so long, you might have been preoccupied with how to meet someone else's needs, how to keep them happy, or how to maintain a connection that may not have served you as much as you served it. This preoccupation often causes you to lose sight of yourself, your own desires, and your own well-being. But now, with the absence of those distractions, you start to see yourself clearly again. This process begins with small realizations. You notice the things that bring you joy, the activities you may have abandoned, and the dreams you put on hold. Perhaps you once loved painting, writing, or exercising, but somewhere along the way, you stopped making time for those passions. Maybe you loved the freedom of spending time alone, exploring your own thoughts, but you gave that up to prioritize someone else. As the days of no contact go by, these pieces of yourself start to resurface, like long-lost friends knocking on the door of your heart. And as you open that door, you begin to feel more whole. Rediscovery is not just about hobbies or interests. It's also about reconnecting with your core values. In relationships, it's easy to compromise on the things that matter most to you in an effort to avoid conflict or maintain harmony. Over time, these compromises can pile up until you barely recognize the person you've become. But when you step back and take the time to reflect, you start to remember who you are at your core. You remember the principles you stand for, the boundaries you need, and the kind of life you want to lead. This clarity is empowering because it gives you a sense of direction and purpose that may have been lost in the fog of attachment. One of the most beautiful aspects of rediscovery is realizing your own strength. Going no contact is not an easy decision. It requires courage, discipline, and a willingness to face discomfort. But as you navigate through this period of separation, you begin to see just how resilient you are. You learn that you are capable of withstanding the pangs of loneliness and the temptation to reach out. You discover that you can rely on yourself for comfort and support rather than seeking it from someone else. This realization builds an unshakable confidence within you, a confidence that says, "I am enough." In this journey of self-discovery, you also start to rewrite the narratives you've told yourself about who you are. Perhaps you believed that you were only valuable if someone else loved you, or that you needed another person to complete you. These beliefs may have kept you stuck in patterns of seeking approval or settling for less than you deserve. But as you spend time with yourself, you begin to see these narratives for what they are: false stories born out of insecurity or past wounds. You replace them with truths that reflect your worth and your independence. This period of introspection often reveals surprising insights. You might realize that the relationship or connection you thought you couldn't live without was actually holding you back. You see how much energy you poured into it and how little you received in return. You recognize the ways in which you compromised your own happiness for the sake of someone else's. And as painful as these realizations can be, they are also liberating. They free you from the illusion that you need someone else to feel whole, and they empower you to prioritize your own needs moving forward. As you continue this process, you begin to rebuild your life on your terms. You set goals that align with your true self, rather than goals designed to please or impress someone else. You create routines that nourish your mind, body, and spirit. You surround yourself with people and experiences that uplift and inspire you. And most importantly, you learn to enjoy your own company. You find peace in solitude, comfort in your own presence, and joy in simply being who you are. This is the ultimate act of self-love, to treat yourself as someone worthy of care, respect, and kindness. Rediscovery is not a one-time event, it's an ongoing journey. As you peel back the layers of who you thought you had to be, you uncover the essence of who you truly are. And with each layer that falls away, you feel lighter, freer, and more alive. You realize that this period of no contact is not just about moving on from someone else, it's about moving toward yourself. It's about embracing the person you were always meant to be and finding the courage to live a life that reflects your truest self. This journey is not without its challenges. There will be moments of doubt, moments when the urge to reach out feels overwhelming, and moments when the silence feels too heavy to bear. But each time you choose to stay the course, you reaffirm your commitment to yourself. And with each passing day, you grow stronger, wiser, and more attuned to your own needs and desires. In this way, rediscovery is not just about finding yourself again, it's about becoming the best version of yourself, one step at a time. Emotional independence is one of the most transformative outcomes of going no contact. At its core, it is the process of reclaiming control over your emotional state and disentangling your happiness and self-worth from external validation. When you first step into this space of separation, it may feel daunting. After all, it's easy to get used to relying on someone else for comfort, support, and affirmation. But as you move through the no-contact period, you begin to realize the incredible strength and freedom that come with standing on your own 2 feet emotionally. Initially, there may be a period of withdrawal. When you've been emotionally dependent on someone, their absence can feel like a void. You may catch yourself reaching for your phone, hoping for a message, or replaying conversations in your mind. This is natural, as human beings are wired to seek connection and comfort in others. But with time and reflection, you start to see that this void isn't something to be feared. It's an opportunity to grow. You realize that the discomfort you feel is not permanent, it's a necessary part of the process of building your emotional independence. As you sit with your emotions, you begin to understand them more deeply. You notice patterns that may have gone unnoticed before. Perhaps you relied on the other person to cheer you up when you were down, or to validate your worth when you doubted yourself. These are not signs of weakness, but rather indicators of areas where you have an opportunity to grow. By acknowledging these patterns, you take the first step toward breaking them. You start to ask yourself important questions. Why do I feel this way? What can I do to comfort myself? How can I meet my own emotional needs? One of the most powerful realizations during this time is that your emotions are yours to own. No one else has the power to control how you feel unless you allow them to. This doesn't mean denying your feelings or suppressing them. It means taking responsibility for them. When you feel sad, angry, or lonely, you learn to sit with those emotions and process them, rather than seeking immediate relief from someone else. This practice builds emotional resilience, teaching you that you have the strength to handle whatever comes your way. In the process of developing emotional independence, self-soothing becomes an invaluable skill. You learn to comfort yourself in healthy ways, whether it's through journaling, meditating, exercising, or engaging in activities that bring you joy. These practices not only help you cope with difficult emotions, but also deepen your relationship with yourself. You start to see yourself as someone who is capable of providing comfort and care, which strengthens your sense of self-worth. You realize that you don't need to rely on someone else to feel okay. You have everything you need within you. Another significant aspect of emotional independence is setting boundaries, not just with others, but also with yourself. You begin to recognize when you're falling into old habits of seeking validation or approval. You notice when you're tempted to break no contact out of a desire for reassurance. And instead of giving in to these impulses, you remind yourself of your commitment to your own growth. You set boundaries around your time, your energy, and your emotions, ensuring that you are prioritizing yourself and your well-being. This is not about shutting others out, but about protecting the emotional space you need to heal and thrive. Over time, you begin to notice a shift in how you approach relationships, both with others and with yourself. You no longer feel the need to chase after love, attention, or approval. Instead, you cultivate a sense of inner peace and self-assurance that allows you to approach connections from a place of strength rather than neediness. This shift is profound because it changes the dynamic of every interaction you have. You are no longer seeking someone to complete you or fill a void. You are whole on your own, and any relationship you enter is an addition to an already fulfilling life. This newfound independence doesn't mean that you don't value relationships or connections. On the contrary, it allows you to appreciate them even more. When you are emotionally independent, you are free to give and receive love without the fear of losing yourself in the process. You can set healthy boundaries, communicate your needs, and walk away from situations that don't serve you. This freedom is empowering because it puts you in control of your own happiness. As you continue to grow in emotional independence, you start to see how much you've gained from this journey. The person you were at the beginning of the no-contact period may have felt lost, uncertain, and reliant on someone else for emotional stability. But the person you are becoming is strong, self-assured, and capable of navigating life's challenges with grace. You've learned to trust yourself, to listen to your intuition, and to prioritize your own needs. These are lessons that will serve you for a lifetime. Through this process, you come to understand that emotional independence is not about isolating yourself or rejecting help from others. It's about knowing that you can stand on your own, even when things get tough. It's about having the confidence to face your emotions head-on and the wisdom to seek support when you need it. This balance allows you to approach life with a sense of empowerment and self-reliance that is truly transformative. You are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances or the whims of others. You are in charge of your own emotional well-being, and that is a powerful place to be.